Yeah, this is alcoholic. Almost 3 years. I guess this is, I don't know, alcoholism and just tricky stuff. Like I got out of a colonoscopy yesterday, and they doped me up on all the goodies, and I wanted more, and then I found this after when I took my poop. I don't know what the hell this is doing coming out of my butt. It's the freaking tip of a syringe. I don't know if the needle's still in there or what, but anyways. You're really prone after you get on all those good drugs to want to continue the party. It takes some real self-control or knowledge of knowing that go back what will do to you. But I was raised, basic psychiatrist doping me up on drugs since I was 5, as far as I can remember. I could read the paper when I was like 4, 3. I can remember back to 1. But the first time I drank at 5, I drank alcoholically. And I had all the Demerol and the Percodan and the morphine and all that other stuff. But I just was prone to alcohol. And being an alcoholic is it's really tricky stuff, because I struggled with it for years because I could never, ever frickin' have one drink. And I see these people constantly off and on, and they'll just have one drink or half a drink or quarter drink in there. I don't understand it. I tried for years to do that, and I just never could. And what's tricky about it is you start hanging out with people, or you go to bars and clubs and you see other people that can do that, and you forget. You think, oh, maybe I can do that because they're doing that. And you try that. That's like thousands of times this has happened to me, And in the back of my mind, I know what's going to happen. I won't be able to stop. And the social stigma. I mean, before Alcoholics Anonymous, you got electroshock therapy, you got frontal lobotomy, all that stuff. They gained more of an understanding, but there's still that stigma. It's like he can't control his drinking. He's an imbecile. He's inferior. But I know people with some IQs up in the 190s, 180s, and 190s that are pretty frickin' smart, and they're alcoholics, and they can't they can't control their drinking, so it doesn't have anything to do with how much you know or willpower. It's genetics. But alcoholic is a tricky deal because it's totally legal in most countries. I mean, in other countries, it's really, they'll throw you in the slammer, period. So it's just, and then they're pushing it all the time, the major media advertisers and everything, and your friends, they want you to socially drink. And you want to go out and meet people and go dancing, it's around you, and you smell it, and that triggers it, and then you want some. It's really, really tricky stuff. And so I think there's a difference between, I think basically it all boils down to genetics. Because I used to work for a cut lab. I remember I went to this place for a job offer, and they told me that I would just be mixing chemicals or whatever at a bakery or whatever. It was like an alternative bakery. And so, in my first interview, they asked me, do you like Coke? Do you like cocaine? And I go, I can take it or leave it. I really don't like it all that much. It makes my heart race really quick. I get tunnel hearing sometimes if, like, this was before Freebase. And I was fucking mixing major amounts of cocaine, keys and keys of cocaine, and I had it all fucking around me. I mean, I had to wear a white Tyvek suit and a respirator. I was around the shit so much. We're talking 30 plus years ago. That was back when the one guy was running all the cartels. It wasn't a bunch of different cartels like it is now. Escobar, yeah, he was running the show. There wasn't, right out of Colombia. It wasn't a lot of subcontractors like it is now, but I could take it or leave it. You know, and some people, they just get super duper hooked to the stuff. And then naturally in my travels I tried crystal meth, and I could take it or leave it. I really didn't. I never liked crystal meth and acid. And pot, but I took that more than I left it for about 15 years worth, and then it just made me freaking paranoid as hell. And you know, I think they should legalize it all, because I think the people that are going to have a problem with it will have a problem with it, and then they'll just expire, and that'll be the end of the story. But there won't be all the collateral damage that there is with it now. It's a waste of time, this law enforcement stuff and all that. They should just let it go. And in some countries they have, if they want to take themselves out and overdose and die or whatever, yeah. But it's a tricky deal. You know, it's just really tricky, because being an alcoholic, you think that you see other people that function normally. I know people that are heavy drinkers, and they function normally. They drink a lot, but they go to work. They're responsible. They just drink heavy, but they're not like I was, where I would just I would take a drink and I would wake up in a different state. I remember one time in a party in Ballard, Washington, the crab fisherman party, and freaking kegs and drugs and all that stuff. Last thing I remember, I'm underneath the tap in the kitchen, and people are, yeah, go for it. I'm drinking about as quick as some of it's spilling on me, but I'm drinking it as quick as it can fucking come out of the tap. And next thing I remember is I wake up and I'm on the front seat of a car, and I can hear these ocean waves. Rollers, these big waves that you hear them and then they kind of crash, you know, not just, and I'm like, I'm not anywhere near where I started, because there isn't waves like that. So I get up and I look around, and God, this beach looks unfamiliar. And so I notice I'm low on gas, so I drive in the gas station, and I'm looking at the plates of the cars, and it's got Oregon plates. Wait a minute, I started out drinking in Washington. I don't freaking remember how I got here. And yeah, and so I asked the gas station attendant, I go, what day is it? And he looks at me really freaking weird, like I'm off the rocker, which I was, because I didn't even know what day it was. But it was like a 2-day not knowing where I went. And that was alcohol. That wasn't dust or PCP and all that stuff. And I can go all over the map on this stuff, but basically, I got years that are gone. And I used to hope that someday they would come back, but they're not, because what it does is it interferes with your brain chemistry, so your synapses and your memories, and they go to certain parts of your brain and all this stuff. Well, when you're on alcohol and drugs, the recorder's shut off. You're not recording. You know, like this camera's recording right now, it would be like me shutting off the camera and talking. It just never gets recorded. You know, and it's that way with alcohol and drugs. So you lose big chunks of your life and all that, and I've had to accept that. And it just gradually erases away who you are. Like, I was pretty smart. I could remember like 50 names and addresses and all that stuff, and it just gradually, that got erased away. I can't do that anymore. But on the flip side, aside from all the propaganda, the brain can actually heal itself again. And it takes a lot of work and time and it's harder when you're older, but you can reconnect the dots. You can reconnect the synapses. You can retrain yourself. You can retrain your brain if you do it with the right diet and you study and you work at it. You can, I had a really bad brain injury. I shouldn't be able to talk right now, and I should be in a wheelchair, but here I am talking. But, it set me back quite a bit, and it hurts because I know what I was before it happened. And it was a direct, I already had brain damage from all the drugs and alcohol, but it was a direct smack to my head that, my brain hemorrhaged for a week without any medical treatment on a floor, so that messed it up pretty bad. But it seems like every society, even in the country I'm in right now, some drugs will give you serious jail time, but a lot of people drink alcohol like a fish, and they're alcoholics, and they don't see it's a problem. It's all about the money in the media. It's like a big game. It's like they decide what's illegal and what shouldn't be illegal and what should be illegal and to who and all that stuff. I think they should just legalize it everywhere and just let it run its course. If you're going to have problems with it, you're going to have problems with it. Like I had problems with alcohol, and that was genetic. I was raised in a alcoholic family, but I always wondered if it was nurture versus nature, and then at 40, I found out that genetically I was an alcoholic. Both of my parents were alcoholics and sober, and then my sisters are alcoholics and practicing and all that stuff. Yeah, it's the media, it's big money, it's the law enforcement, it's just a big racket, it's just big control. And everybody wants to get loaded. Like people that overeat, I've noticed this. When I eat a bunch of food really quick, I get euphoric. I become more sociable, talkative, I feel fulfilled, I feel happier. It's like a drug. It's like food's a drug. It's like sex a drug. It's like getting shot at when you're in a firefight with somebody. That's like a frickin' drug. Your adrenaline's just frickin' rushing full blast, and your eyes are frickin' dilated, and you're in another world because you can't be in your real body because you're being shot at. And if you think about that you can actually die, you'll get nervous and you'll start shaking and you won't be able to hold your gun steady. And it's like, yeah, it's like all these things can be addictive to our brain chemistry. I think it's just genetics make us prone to get addicted to one or another, but everything's freaking addictive. You can be an anger addict. You get addicted to that rage, that feeling of anger. You can be a fear addict, where you're just, and that's another thing on the brain chemistry. There's just, and I think it's part of being a human being is to do things that drive our brain chemistry one way or another. It's natural, really, because like for a pat on the back or love, that affects our brain chemistry. Someone saying we did a good job on something, that affects our brain chemistry. Meeting a new people, if you ever notice when new people meet, they're like smiling a lot and they're talking a lot. They're getting high off that. That's like brain chemistry. It's yeah, and then I can get into instincts and all that, but I won't, because I'm